Hi everyone, my name is Candy, and today I want to talk about something that has completely changed the way I see my students, my work, and even myself. This podcast is for general and special education teachers, for families, and really for anyone who works with neurodivergent learners. Okay, so what's my goal here? I basically want to spread awareness, offer tools, and help us understand our students through a more supportive and affirming lens. So let me introduce neurodiversity. So, what is it? It's the idea that brains learn, communicate, and process the world in different ways, and that these differences are natural. It is not a flaw or a deficit, it is a variation. Academically, the neurodiversity framework pushes us to see disability not as something to fix, but as something to support, much like language differences or cultural differences. And when I finally understood this, my entire mindset shifted. As a neurodivergent educator myself, this topic is personal. I recently learned that neurodivergent people are not missing social cues. We are reading neurodivergent social cues. The issue comes from something called the double empathy problem, which explains that misunderstandings happen both ways. Neurodivergent people struggle to read neurotypical cues, and neurotypical people struggle to read neurodivergent cues. It is not a one sided failure, it is a mismatch between two communication styles, with one simply being the minority. Historically, education has been shaped by a narrow idea of how students should behave, learn, and communicate. For decades, neurodivergent students were told to make eye contact, sit still, master natural behaviors, and fit into neurotypical expectations, as if things were not already hard for them. Schools often approach disability through a fix a child mindset instead of adjusting the environment. But we are seeing a shift. The neurodiversity movement, disability rights advocates, and updated special education practices are pushing us towards strength based, identity affirming education. This is a sociological shift away from compliance and toward understanding. It tells the students, hey, you don't have to become someone else to deserve support. You already have it. A neurodiversity affirming classroom values communication differences, sensory needs, and unique learning styles. Instead of correcting students, we ask, what does this behavior communicate? Instead of pushing students to mask, we give them the tools to self regulate. Instead of assuming a student is defiant, we consider whether the environment is overwhelming, whether instructions were clear, or whether the student needs a different mode of communication. It also means understanding the different ways neurodivergent students experience the world. For example, students with ADHD might need movement, flexible sitting, and shorter, more engaging tasks to stay regulated. Students with OCD often benefit from predictable routines, clear expectations, and reassurance that honors their anxieties without fitting into them. Learners with bipolar disorder might need calm transition spaces and emotional check ins, especially during mood shifts. The students with ODD, which stands for Oppositional Defiant Disorder, usually respond best to collaborative problem solving and relationships built on trust, not power struggles. Autistic learners might prefer direct communication and reduced sensory input, while dyslexic learners might rely on audio supports or multimodal instruction. This mindset helps the students feel safe enough to learn. It reduces anxiety, improves relationships, and supports academic growth, not by forcing students to change who they are, but by helping them access learning in ways that feel natural. I want to share a quick moment from my classroom. I had a student with dyslexia who struggled so much with typing. He knew the content, but he could not get his thoughts onto the screen fast enough. One day, we explored Google Docs voice typing, and that tool changed everything. Suddenly, he could express his ideas, answer questions, and show his actual knowledge. So his confidence actually shifted almost immediately. This is what neurodiversity affirming support looks like. It is not about fixing his dyslexia. It is about giving him the tools to learn in a way that works for his brain. When teachers understand neurodiversity, we stop labeling students as defiant, lazy, or strugglers, and we start asking better questions. When families understand neurodiversity, they stop blaming themselves or their child. And when students understand themselves, they stop feeling broken. This is why neurodiversity affirming practices are not just a trend, they are a necessary shift in education. They allow us to honor students' communication styles, sensory needs, and processing patterns and identities. Now, if you take anything away from this podcast, let it be this: learn your students' profiles, notice their communication style, ask what supports make them feel comfortable, get to know them, offer movement breaks, sensory options, visual supports, and different ways to show knowledge. And most importantly, approach students with curiosity instead of correction. Education becomes so much more powerful when students feel safe being themselves. Now we have reached the end. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for caring enough to learn with me. Remember, the more we understand neurodiversity, the more inclusive, compassionate, and effective our classrooms and families can become. Every student and every neurodiverse person deserves to learn in a space that honors their brain, their identity, and their way of experiencing the world.